You got this,
Hey,
Brian.
hey, we are live. Hello, world. So, for our guests that don't know, when we first turn on, we just kind of hang out for a couple seconds, let people get the notification that we're here, pop up. Maggie is the first to show up. Congratulations. Yes. And for able to create an audio loop. Yeah, see, officially, we are streaming in infinity for that kind of minute. There's an important question. Any of you seen the third Bill and Ted movie yet?
I have not.
Okay, so I loved it.
Oh,
I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it.
I'm an avid fan, and
I think the girl that played Wilhelmina did a really good job.
yes,
as playing as the-
absolutely.
So
And
I'm on this Dexter kick because I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
And I'm on season 8, episode 2, and nothing else gets watched until I'm done with that. That's it. Like
Dexter's
I have
awesome and
so good.
a worthy show to focus on. Here, let's
I
do
have
it.
I have Bill and Ted's and Cobra Kai. Those are like the ones that are like queued up.
Yes.
I was like, I'm just reliving all my childhood right here.
Right. Yeah.
Just need Back to the Future or a revamp of that, and you're good.
Exactly, and then we're good. We have everything.
All right, we are up to our proverbial baker's dozen. So let's start the show. Hello and welcome to the Indie Beer Show. Tonight we are joined by Beer Zombies Brewing and Mason Ale Works. But before we get into talking to them, we have to talk about an elephant in the room, and that is, unfortunately, one of our best patrons and friends of the show, Larry Smith. We found out that Larry Smith passed away last night, and we found out this morning. He was everyone's friend. He was just a great, genuine San Diego craft beer guy. He always the first one to buy one of our products, be at our live events. I was talking to Rudy earlier today. Apparently, he was the first person to buy several of Rudy's art pieces. He will be sorely missed. He was a genuinely positive, awesome beer guy. And thank you, Larry, for all the support you showed us as a show. And more importantly, your friendship, man. It meant a lot to me. And you really left a mark on the San Diego craft beer community for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. And yes, like as Mr. Bavado points out, Larry was normally the first one here and certainly the first one that would comment. Okay. We are actually here to do a show. And because of that, we are going to start with our guest that is the farthest away. So Chris, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us what you do at Beer Zombies.
I am Chris Jacobs. I am the beer zombie, I guess is what people usually say. I'm the guy that has the big beer zombie tattoo on his forearm. So either I really love working there or I own it. So one of the two. I get a lot of people that have never met me before, and they'll come to the draft and they're like, wow, you must really like this job. Like, yeah, I really like it. But yeah, I'm in Las Vegas right now. I'm surrounded by mahogany and leather bound books. Feeling pretty good, just kind of hanging out.
Is that keeping you cool, those books?
It makes me feel smart. I mean,
that's all that really matters.
Yeah, it's like osmosis. I just kind of rub them once in a while, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've totally read that.
Well, thank you for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. I remember you all the way back to like the first time you released a sticker, and really you just kind of were like a beer review guy, and then you started a brand, and then and we'll get into that explosion here in a little bit. But Grant, Mr. Tondro, welcome to the show. Please tell the world what you do for Urge, Mason, and the Bell Room Group.
a little bit of everything.
Yes.
So I'm co-founder. I'm a level 2 sommelier. I'm a certified Cicerone. I used to write our wine list of the Barrel Room. We opened it in 2007. We opened up Urge in Rancho Bernardo 2010. Mason Ale Works started in 2015. Got our megalith. I jokingly call it your standard half-acre size brew pub up in San Marcos 3 years ago. Currently, I am the sales manager for Mason, operations director for the restaurant group, co-founder and owner.
So everything.
That's
So
it.
everything.
Yeah. And I take tables when that's what it takes. So yeah, little bit of
and-
everything. Or even like last week, I drove beer out to Vegas because the beer needed to get there. So
And
it's
he had to go to Vegas.
Oh, that sucks. You had to go to
Alright.
Vegas.
Dang.
Yeah, damn it.
well, it
Damn.
normally sounds like fun. I left at 6 a.m. to get there. I got home at 10:30 at that night. So not as much fun as it sounded like. But I got to hang out with Chris for a little bit, so it was all good.
Yeah. That was
So
a
what
long
you
day for you.
so what you do with the other 4 hours? I mean, that's
I
a 4 hour
don't
gap
remember.
there. Okay.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
So we are not starting it off light. We're going the opposite way, and we're starting with Wizards and Zombies. Chris, why don't you break down this beer for us? Here, we'll zoom in on Abel so that people can see the beer. Triple Hazy IPA, 10.5%. Roll that over so we can see the label, sir. Yes, 1.5%. Fancy schmancy. So, Chris, what is the story behind this beer? How did it come to be? And what are we? Well, not that.
Hey, Brian.
Yes. Isn't it great? So, as live things are live, that just happened. Anyways, Chris, why don't you break down the beer for us while we take our first sip?
For sure. So Wizards and Zombies is a collaboration between myself, Beer Zombies, and then Brewhost Brewing. And for some people that don't know who Brewhost is, he's kind of been a side project home brewer doing his own little thing, but he worked around with, he worked at Black Market. He had moved around to Oregon, and now he is the lead brewer at Great Notion. So Brewhost is his own little side project that he does, and he's been a friend of mine. We've done, I think, 4 or 5 beers together over the years. Just a all-around awesome human being, somebody that I really get along with. We kind of mesh really well. And this just happened to be a beer that we had talked about. I wanted to do a triple hazy IPA, and he was all for it. So he came down and got together over with Grant and JJ at Mason and had a little a brew day and got it going. So it's a Mason. It's a majority. It's a Citra hazy IPA. There's a ton of oats. I think actually like 2 tons close to, but a ton of oats, and then some lactose in there, and just a really just going for that soft kind of hazy, juicy, low bitterness, easy drinking. Just makes you want to keep going for it.
It is extremely easy drinking. I was about to say that. That could be a problem with it coming in
it's
at that
10.5%.
ABV.
I'm almost surprised it's Citra because it's almost got this tropical drink thing going on with it tastes like somehow like a mango pineapple pina colada type thing. There's almost coconut notes with that nice sweetness in there.
Mm-hmm.
But man, which is anybody who sat around a pool in the heat had pina coladas knows that's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, nothing like making a 10.5%.
It was close to 10 pounds per barrel of Citra.
I'd say it was a ton.
It's prevalent, but the hoppiness of it, the aromas and the flavors are, despite it being so big and having sugar and oats and everything, it's like, wow.
I just get a ton of like super juicy overripe peach. Like that's what I just pull off of it. To me, it just screams like, just where it's almost to the point where you're like, should I eat this? It's so soft and juicy, Yeah, but that's what I pull out of it. It's just super peachy.
Well, it's delicious.
Yeah,
like those
really
peaches
good.
are like one day from being needed to be used in pie.
Exactly.
ABV smuggler, hands down.
I was going to say,
for sure.
absolutely.
That's what we call these, where they're too easy drinking for their alcohol percentage.
Mm-hmm.
You nailed it on the lactose. I hate when lactose is overdone. It really just has a slickness and a sweetness on the finish. It's not really prevalent while you're drinking.
So
and that's a great
not
triangle for me.
I'm not a fan of milkshake IPAs. It's just not my jam. So I didn't want to make.
High five.
Yeah, I didn't want to go milkshake, but I also knew that a beer this big, it tends to kind of get away from you unless you bring it back a little bit, and it just has that little back end sweetness. It kind of just snaps it out, and you're like, oh, that's good. That's tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's really right in that sweet spot. Anyways, let's do some housekeeping to catch up with the people that joined us. We said hi to Maggie. Holy shit, Chris Scroop. A friend and a roommate of mine from like 27 years ago. Holy shit. No, Matt, you weren't first. Sante to Dan Diego's. They actually supplied the beer for next week's show, which we will be doing with another group of people that collaborate with Beer Zombies, which is Beer Thug Life, will be on the show with us with Indie Brew Co, which they did a beer with Beer Zombies and Beer Thug that we're going to drink on next week's show. That beer right there, Hazy Twins or Haze
with my
Twins.
mug on it.
Predicting, so this week predicts next week, and then the week after that, our second anniversary show. Yes, Maggie, you won. Grant is saying hi to all of our guests, which is really cool. Yes, Matt, Larry is normally the first commenter, and I'm glad that we were able to say something nice about him. He will be sorely missed, and we actually have another small little thing for him to talk about when we get into our patrons at the end of the show. Maggie had some screen problems, but we all survived. I hope you got that fixed up. Looks like you did. And yes, Matt, that guy worked at fucking Great Notion, and yes, he contributed some excellence to this beer. Cheers, Joe. Very nice to see you. Welcome. And yes, Matt, I said peach pie. So please make me some in your Dutch oven. You guys maybe not know this, but the Babineaus can make anything at home at an exceptional quality level. So if they ever invite you over for some kind of dinner party, when COVID's over, of course, fucking say yes. They are amazing cooks. But let's get back to our guests. We have to ask you this one stupid question that every beer podcast has to ask everyone. So let's start with Grant. We'll do it backwards. What's the beer that sparked your love of craft and started you on your journey? Yeah,
sorry, riding that mute button a little too close. So believe it or not, it was Newcastle Brown Ale, which is far from craft.
Oh yeah.
But at the time, I was in my late teens, early 20s, and was just getting out of that quantity over quality phase. And I had a friend who turned me on to Nuki Brown, and all of a sudden I felt like it was the coolest guy in the world because here was beer with big flavor. And then it just kind of went from there. So, from there led into Arrogant Bastard, led into Anchor Steam, led into, the Stone Beers, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and the rest is history. But Newcastle was definitely the one that got things rolling.
That's really cool. I used to buy Newcastle by the keg. My upstairs neighbor at the time had a kegerator, and we would take turns buying kegs for it. And Newcastle and Spot and Optimator were normally the ones that we would go back and forth through on. Both not craft, but also just one of those areas of where at least you can see that beer has flavor beyond your standard Coors.
Yeah, when we first opened up Urge 10 years ago with 51 tap handles, and there was only 34 breweries in San Diego at the time. And that was only because Mother Earth and Hess Brewing opened up a month before we did, or else it would have been 32. But we had Newcastle and Guinness both on tap because we couldn't fill 51 taps with local beer.
Wow.
That's awesome, man.
You tried real hard, though. It was always awesome.
We did our best. We had on Airedale multiple taps and, probably 3 taps of lightning, just doing what we could.
Well, and
Stormy Thunder Bison.
Yes. At least you had that vision to where you would be later, where 51 taps isn't quite enough anymore. So well done there. So Chris, what about you? What is the beer that sparked your love of craft and started the Beer Zombie movement?
So mine is a little different. I started drinking craft pretty early, like 15, 16. I grew up at about 45 minutes from Sierra Nevada. So my dad always had Sierra Nevada Pale Ale like stocked. He was a construction guy, so he had like this daytime, work beer in the 80s when you can drink at work. He had PBR in the day, and then Sierra Nevada was for night. So I'd always just be like, I would look in the fridge and be like, which one of these can I take? And he won't notice. So I started drinking Sierra Nevada literally like as a teenager, and I didn't even know that was a craft beer. I just knew that it was always around. So that one kind of is what got me into beer. And then as I became more of an adult, I moved to Las Vegas, and I remember it was the Arrogant Bastard Bombers. I mean, that was kind of the go-to. You could walk into the supermarket and get those 22 ounces and just put them down. And I was like, man, this is insane. So it was a little combination of both, but Sierra Nevada, definitely a special place in my heart.
And that was back when Arrogant Bastard wasn't $11 for a bomber.
No, it was.
Those were the good old days.
It was
like $5.
Yeah, exactly.
And it still seemed expensive.
Less than a pint at a bar, and you could get a bomber of 9.5% Arrogant Bastard. Yes, good old days. So Chris, you came from really humble beginnings with Beer Zombie. you would review beers, and like your first product was a sticker.
Yeah,
I remember. I don't know how, but early, like I'm like 2014-ish, I became aware of you somehow, because of the. I think just because your graphics are cool, but when you kind of look back at that beginning to where you are now with multiple locations and then starting Beer Zombie Brew Co, like what kind of feelings does that evoke when you think about your journey to this point so far?
It's pretty insane. When I get a chance to kind of sit back and not have to do something, and it kind of hits me, I'm like, oh wow, like, you know, we've come a long way since the sticker days in the beginning of just trying to do something cool that I thought was fun, you know. And I'm probably the worst businessman ever because I've never written a business plan. You know, I never sat down and was like, this is what we're going to do. I've kind of just taken it by the reins, and whenever I woke up in the morning and felt right, that's what I went with. So it was kind of, you know, the first thing I ever did, you're right, is a sticker. And that's because I come from like a street art graffiti background, and I was doing some art and decided to make some Beer Zombie stickers. It was just a logo that I had worked on from some other projects. And the first time I threw them out there, someone was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You should make a glass. So I went to the local spot here in Vegas, and I said, hey, I want to make, you know, glasses. What's the minimum I can make? Yeah. And they said 24. And I was like, crap, I'm going to have 24 Beer Zombies glasses forever, you know, in my head. I put them online, and they sold out in that first night. And I was like, wow, like people really like this, you know? And now it's like I'm ordering like 500-600 at a time, like trying to up that order. But yeah, it's grown insane. You know, a lot of support from people. I think it has to do with the fact that at the end of the day, I am a beer nerd first and foremost. Like, I do this because I love beer and I love cool people, and that's always kind of been my model. If I can drink good beer with good people, I'm doing something right, you know. And if I can make money off of it, even amazing. That's a bonus. But at the end of the day, if I stop making money, I wouldn't stop doing Beer Zombies, because it just helps me get to hang out and meet cool people and travel around and just be a part of the scene that I love being a part of.
That's awesome. It again, I think for anyone that has ever seen any interviews with you or listened to them, that passion, that drive comes through. And I think your authenticity is really a key to your success. Like you said, at heart, you're just like all of us on this show. You want to geek out about beer, and you just find it fascinating. And thank you. I mean, you've built, I don't know if people really realize how integral to building Las Vegas's craft beer culture you will be.
The funny part about that is nobody in Las Vegas would make a hazy IPA. You know, what is this, 5 years ago, let's say. And I kept asking the breweries, like, you know, let's make a hazy IPA. And they're like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So I decided that I was going to go and try to find a brewery that would collaborate so I could bring it in. So I literally brought the very first hazy IPA into Vegas, period. Like, there had never been a hazy IPA in here. So when I brought it in, the brewer's like, oh, people really do want this. Maybe we should look into this and start making it.
You could sell 100 cases a day?
And that's why I told him, I said, I get it. Trust me. I love Pilsner. I love Lambic, but it doesn't mean that everyone else does. And at the end of the day, if you have a brewery, you've got to make money. So make a really good hazy IPA and make some money so you can make Pilsners, you know? That's the idea. And it just took a while, but now the Vegas beer scene has definitely grown a lot. I moved here in 95, so I've been here a long time. You know, I went through the Bud Light only days at every casino bar to finally starting to get some craft options. And I ran bar programs on the Strip and been a part of that. But it's been cool to see it from its infancy and just kind of grow and just start to be what it is, which is a really cool spot now.
Do you know how many breweries there is in Vegas now?
I think there's 12. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. We have one that actually just soft opened last night, and another one that's going to be opening next week. So that number could be a little off, but it's around 12, which is crazy because we have 2 million people here.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you took the same ratio for San Diego, you could easily have 110 breweries.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but who goes there to spend money?
Space.
Where would they ever sell the beer?
Yes. I don't know.
They make bets on the beer.
Yes. There you go.
Is Big Dog still kind of like the brewery?
Big Dog's puts out a lot of cool stuff. Probably my favorite brewery in town is Able Baker. I think that they're doing a really good job as far as getting a hold of like the newer generation of beer drinkers with some cool new things, but then also staying true to like the people that have brought them there. They're doing still barley wines and stouts and old ales and dark ales and pilsners, but doing can releases on a regular basis. They're putting out cool label art, which, you know, I'm a sucker for label art coming in the artist background. I think that's a huge part of the beer scene. You know, I tend to go, all of the Beer Zombies beers have been kind of like horror movie themed stuff that I like. You know, I just that's the thing, is people always ask me, like, how do you come up with ideas for like merch? And because I design all that stuff. And I said, look, I just try to do stuff that I like and hope everyone else likes it. And if not, at least I have something to wear, you know. That's the way I look at it. If no one buys the shirt, at least I have one. But no, I think Able Bakers is doing a good job. They're putting out constant can releases and really starting to build that second part of that scene where it's, you go to the brewery, you're looking for new stuff. They're coming out with colorful labels. They have a great brewer. They have a great social media presence. They have the whole package going on.
Atomic Duck, huh?
Yeah. Well,
That's their flagship.
Somebody who spends a decent amount of time out in Vegas, I would definitely second that too. I mean, we've done a couple collaborations with Able Baker now, and they're really on top of it. Very progressive. They've come out to San Marcos with to do some stuff with us, and it blows my mind how few breweries there is in Vegas. Makes me happy because we sell almost as much beer into Vegas as we do in Southern California with Mason.
Wow.
We're the pool beer at the MGM. We've got the only hazy IPA on at T-Mobile Arena where the Golden Knights play. So it's a pretty cool scene out there. But I'm good with 12, and then Chris and I can keep doing the BZ brewing stuff for a while.
Yeah.
I want to have Swimming with Debray.
What was that?
I want to have their Swimming with Debray. Sorry, I'm looking at my computer at the same time.
Yes, indeed.
It stays on, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually think that they have a double barrel aged Crisco Ale, and I think it's probably in the top 3 beers that have been made in Nevada. Period. It's it's pretty phenomenal. And of course, you know, I don't count my own beers in any of that stuff because that just sounds douchey. But I think that that beer is special. Like, they did it right.
Cool.
And
I'll be in Vegas at the end of the month. I'll pick some up for us guys.
Make sure you come by Beer Zombies.
I will. I was supposed to go last because I was there last month too, but I couldn't make it out there. So I will. I'll go by.
Thank you.
So, Grant, how did you meet Chris, and how did you guys start down the road of Beer Zombie Brewing partnership?
So Chris, jump in, but Chris and I have known each other probably about a year and a half, probably pushing 2 years at this point, and got to know each other through the Vegas beer scene. Stone, up until recently, was our distributor in Southern California. And as Stone has gone through a lot of the changes that I know we've all talked about, it became harder and harder to get our distributor to have our back with some of our products out here. So we were still making stuff and had to sell it. So Nevada became a very big market for us right after Arizona. And as our sales manager, I was getting out there pretty regularly. And so Chris and I got to know each other doing some Beer Zombies Brewing events, and then just supporting us with the bottle shop that he had. And then we got to talking one night at the Wall at the Rio. And, you know, I was like, dude, have you ever thought about getting a brewery started? And he's like, yeah, I always have, but, you know, it's so expensive to get going. And we kind of spitballed a few ideas that night of, you know, how do we sort of form some kind of partnership that would get something up off the ground. And at the time, we were both very open and realistic about it. We're like, you know, this could be one beer and done, but, you know, who knows what happens. And it's crazy that first beer got released in February, and here we are in September. And now it's, you know, all right, this is going to be 6+ beers a year. And the reception has been absolutely phenomenal. If you look on Untappd, Beer Zombies Brewing is one of the top 30 breweries in the country. Which is crazy. Yeah. So it's crazy to think, you know, at a little old Mason Ale Works, we're doing that, and we're brewing the Horus Stouts out of Mason as well. So we got some pretty good juice coming out of our place these days. But you know, ultimately, what it came down to, I've had a mantra for a long time that was friendship before finance. And if kind of like what Chris alluded to earlier, if I met cool people who I really enjoyed spending time with, and we shared a lot of the same values, like, let's find a way to do something fun together. And worst case scenario, we'd have beer to drink, just like Chris would have a shirt to wear. So I think we were all pretty stoked with how the first beer came out. We released it at Beer Zombies Fest, and it was a hit. And it always feels good when you release a beer and you get that kind of beer lover reaction about it. But it was definitely, I think Chris and I both had an inkling very early on that we were onto something. So, Chris, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the exact same way I would tell the story. You know, I met Grant and we talked, and he just felt like a friend, like somebody comfortable, that it wasn't, oh, like, how can I make money off this guy? Or how can I take advantage of something? Or what's in it for me? It was more of like, look, man, we can do something that is beneficial for both of us and helps you. And, you know, we make some beer, like, let's do that. And that, you know, I stock Mason regularly. I have them on draft always. Right now, I think I have like 5 cans, you know, different SKUs in stock in both bottle shops. And that's the thing, is on the back of the cans, you know, I've always read that friendship before finance. And I thought anybody that would put that onto a can is either A, just full of crap, or just completely awesome, you know. And it worked out that,
yes,
you know, when I talked to him, I was like, oh, okay, like, he actually means this. Like, he's a good dude. Like, he's just somebody that makes sense to work with, you know. And his whole team is awesome. JJ is great. And he has an 8-lane bowling alley. Like, how can't you be cool and have an 8-lane bowling alley in your brewery?
Right? And it's like black light and fun. Like, it's
all
not
the
just
way Russians.
Yeah, it's just not a boring place. That common house, just in general, if you guys,
Yeah.
once
Super
we're
rad.
allowed to actually be back inside all the time, go, because that place is incredibly impressive and costs millions of fucking dollars. So go enjoy it, please.
I owe a lot of people a lot of money. I'll take the help.
Yeah. Luckily, he believes in friendship, folks, not profit. So it's all good. So, Chris, what's your overall brewing philosophy? And other than friendship, why was Mason a good fit for you?
I just think that it was a, you know, quality beer that I've been drinking for a while. So I already knew that the stuff that they put out on their own is great. Big fan of Horace, all of his beers, you know, find out that they brew, you know, the stouts there for him. It's just one of those things. Like, I felt like that was a pedigree that you can't be mad at. You know, you're already, it's not something that you don't know what you're getting into. And the fact that they allow me to, you know, play outside the box and send in recipes and watch Grant go, really? That's how many hops you want? You know, it's a fun environment. I get along with everybody, and I don't do anything as far as, you know, I think I did like 24 collabs last year. Not one of those wasn't somebody that was a friend of mine. I would never just put my name on something. I never do anything without being involved with that person or people on a personal level. So it just kind of naturally made sense with the way that I run Beer Zombies.
And
Great.
Those are the best type of partnerships, where they're just natural and they fit and everything's easy. And yeah, they have a good pedigree. And even from the beginning, they made very, very good beer, and it's only evolved and really gotten to a higher level each and every year. Grant and his entire team are constantly chasing the dream, and the dream is a perfect beer. And we all know you can't really actually do it, but get close as you can. Please keep going. And Grant, did you ever think to yourself, when you're talking about pounds per barrel of hops, that it's supposed to be a single-digit number, not 10?
I remember we were experimenting with zero IBU beers for a minute. Like, right before the brute craze hit, we were tinkering with some stuff. We'd done a collab with Eagle Rock Brewing, and they were into it. And The Answer and Vale Brewing, on the East Coast, had done some beers like that. And I remember reading on one of the Untapped descriptions, they were like, this beer had 12 pounds per barrel of hops. It was so expensive to make. We're losing money on it. We'll never make it again. So at that point, I was like, all right, so 12 pounds is too many. We don't know how much it is. 12 is too many. And then Chris sends me. So Chris and his buddies will get together, write the first draft recipe. It'll come over to us. We'll take a look at it, make a few tweaks, adjustments based on our system, all that. And it's definitely a collaborative effort. But I saw this first pass, and I'm like, oh, 10 and a half pounds per barrel. I'm doing the math real quick. I'm like, that's $11,000 worth of hops in this.
I think that was the exact text message. You know, that's $11,000 worth of hops, right? And I was like, yeah, is that too much?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's from a guy who was like, what's the fewest glasses I could buy?
Yeah.
24? Oh, crap.
Yeah. But that was his money, Brandon. Now it's Grant's money. It's a lot easier to spend other people's money. That's great. I've been involved with like 7-8 pound a barrel level of hopping, and like physically dumping them in. It's just like 44-pound box, 44-pound box, 44-pound box. It's crazy, man. So congratulations. And for the record, this beer could have handled 11 or 11 and a half pounds per barrel.
I don't think like
I'm sorry.
It couldn't handle any more than this.
You don't think it's excessive, right? Like as you're drinking, you're like, that's not excessive. Like that works.
Yeah, like at first you're blown away, but then like when you're like halfway through it and you're feeling a little bit of the ABV, you're like, nah, just it's turned to 10 and a half. It's not quite to 11.
Maybe just a half a pound more next time. We'll be right there.
It's amazing. Well, in your honor, Chris, we always do a top 3 each week, and this week we are going to do our top 3 zombie movies.
Love it.
And we're going to start with Abel, who aptly named himself Abel versus Evil Dead. Hello, sir. What is your number 3 zombie movie of all time?
My number 3 zombie movie would be Pet Sematary, the first and second one. I mean, just the fact that like you can bury your child and then have them come back to life is really creepy to me. So, and then the scene in the first one where he cuts his Achilles tendons in the back of his ankle. Yes. Okay, that's all I got.
Herman Munster. Yeah.
Herman Munster. He cut Herman Munster's Achilles tendons right there.
It's really cool, man.
We might have just found Herman Munster's origin story.
Did you want to play, Chris?
I'm always down.
All right, so your number 3 zombie movie, and we hold out for number 1 at the end of the show.
Okay, number 3. Just so you guys know, it's not fake. Like I love zombie everything. Like I mean, when I made Beer Zombies, I already had an art company called We Are Zombies. It was all zombie everything. So for me, I watched hundreds and hundreds of zombie movies. But
I was gonna ask why zombies, but you just answered. So.
Yes.
You know what's funny is I don't know how much time we have, but as a kid, I was always afraid of horror movies. But for some reason, zombies didn't scare me. So I always liked those. Like when I would go to like a friend's house and they'd be like, "Oh, let's watch a scary movie." I'd like, "Oh, put on a zombie movie." I'm good with that. I don't want to watch heads spinning around and vomiting and all that stuff. But anyway.
Hey, why not?
So number 3, I would probably
he makes an IPA that's 10.5%.
I'm not scared now, man. I was scared then.
I think customers are going to start doing that.
Yeah. I think I would go number 3, Dawn of the Dead. That's
the original or the remake?
The original or the remake?
Yeah,
the original.
All right.
Yes.
78. I think 78 was the original, and then like 2000.
Yeah.
And 2004 is the remake. Don't get me wrong, 2004 is awesome too, but the 78 is kind of, I was born in 77, so 80s kind of baby when you start seeing like the horror movies and stuff. So that was the first one where I was like, wow, they can get to be in the mall and like hoard supplies and do cool crap, So I think Dawn of the Dead would be number 3 for me.
That's awesome, man. What about you, Estella?
So I'm scared of everything. I don't watch horror movies at all.
So it's going to be a cartoon one, huh?
I was going to say Paranorman. But honestly, I don't know why I do like some zombie things. I don't like super fast zombies. Those really scare me a lot. But I do have a zombie apocalypse plan. Like I'm prepared for that.
All right.
It's also my earthquake kit, just saying. But still, I mean, there's things in there. But my number 3 was a movie I stumbled upon on Netflix. It's Train to Busan. And it was such a good movie. And it didn't freak me out like those other movies, but I thought it was a really, really good movie. But don't get zombies anywhere near me. Thank you very much.
We got it. Brandon, what about you, sir? Number 3.
This one was a little challenging for me because A, growing up, we didn't go to a lot of movies. B, I was shielded from these kinds of things. So then when I was old enough to watch them, I was watching all sorts of horror movies. But for some reason, a lot of zombie movies just, because they are semi-formulaic, there's so many people who make bad ones. And so I've seen plenty of zombie movies, but not a ton that really, like, yes. But I cannot believe that I'm about to, because I know Abel got some flack. I was going to say Pet Cemetery, but not the two that he mentioned. I like the one that came out last year where they flipped the script on the whole thing and changed it up into. I won't spoilers here, but it's a much better version if you haven't seen it, and it doesn't follow the book, so you can even be surprised. I liked it. It is a zombie form because they come back, but it's a cognizant form of zombie with the Stephen King thing. Stephen King inspired me to write, so I like that.
That guy's crazy. No, insane. Crazy.
Exactly. You can't think of all the stories he's thought of and be sane, I don't think. Did you want to play, Grant?
I would say I'm a little tamer in general, but I would say I Am Legend.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yes.
I almost said
that's
one.
a great movie.
Yeah.
That's a great movie, man.
That one's
So
hard for me
sad.
because I feel like it's such a great post-apocalyptic, almost vampire movie. And
Yes.
but I love the movie.
And the dog.
The dog.
And the book that it was written off of, I think it was like I Am the Omega, I think is what it's called. Great book if you've never read it. It's amazing.
Well, and of course, Beer Zombie would split the hairs on what kind of zombie movie qualifies.
Kind of
That's great.
vampire-ish, you know?
Yeah, it is. No, it is. They're at least like parasitic animals more than.
But I do love
zombies.
that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. So for me, I feel really good that you chose the original version, but I chose Dawn of Dead from 2004. To me, that was like kind of a resurgence of this whole new era of a new generation of zombie movies that I really identified with, where they were able to finally kind of show like the expanse of when you get like a couple hundred zombies trying to attack one mall and what that would feel like. They really kind of captured like actual fear to me in that movie. And so for me, number 3, Dawn of the Dead 2004, and validated by Chris picking the first one.
That's a good pick.
So thank you. That was great. And we have to keep the show marching on. And to do that, we need more beer. And Grant gave us a special beer. This is called the Human Rain Delay, which is Mason's kind of Gueuze-ish 10th anniversary beer for Urge that they did with Steve Wagner, who works at this other small brewery in town. But
Yeah.
Why don't you kind of give us the story behind this while we're about to put it in our face?
So this is about 3.5 years ago. We're at the Stone anniversary, 21st, 22nd, whichever year that was at the time. And when I first got into beer, it was about 1998, and I was running the liquor department at the Vons in Rancho Bernardo. And there was this startup brewery called Stone, and we started stocking the beer there. And it's crazy because at the time, there I was, 19 years old, and the sales rep would come by every single week, and you could buy an Arrogant Bastard Ale T-shirt for $5, either black with white screen printing or white with black screen printing on it. And at that age, I must have had like 7 of those shirts. It was most of my career. I could actually afford it. But got to know Steve and Greg back in the 90s when Stone was super, super small. The first time I ever met Jeff Bagby, he was still working there. So it definitely goes back a ways. And Steve and I have stayed in contact over the years. We've done beer dinners even at the Barrel Room, our wine restaurant, and we had that going before we had Urge. And Steve and I have a friend in common named Steve Traxel. And Steve was a Major League Baseball pitcher, lives in Poway, very close to our places, has an absolutely amazing wine cellar. It's been written up in Wine Spectator magazine. And it's crazy as you walk through it because you'll have these like old wooden boxes of Opus 1 from the mid-90s, and it'll say, Shea Stadium, attention Steve Traxel, or Wrigley Field, attention Steve Traxel. That's a pretty awesome little setup. But apparently Steve Traxel and Steve Wagner's kids played baseball together when they were early teenage years. Well, Traxel is famous for 2 things, in addition to being just a super nice guy. But one, he gave up Mark McGwire's 60-second home run. So he did a lot of, he was doing the 30 for 30 stuff earlier this year when the anniversary of it came and all this other stuff. But he also took so long in between pitches that he was one of the main reasons why they instituted a pitch clock. And even though Mike Hargrove, I think, had the nickname first, he also had the nickname of the human rain delay. So we're at the Stone anniversary. The three of us are hanging out. We're having beers. And I got a little bit of liquid courage in me. And I'm like, hey, guys, we got to do a beer together. Like, all three of us know each other. I said, but if Traxel's coming, it's got to be a Gueuze, because it's got to be something that just takes forever to make. And he took forever in between pitches. And then I started doing the math. I'm like, dude, the Urge 10th anniversary is coming up in 3.5 years. Let's get a beer going for that.
I don't know if I can mobilize that quick there, Grant. Sorry.
It was some hazy math. There was some Avery barrel aged stuff involved, but somehow I got the math right on it. And so literally 3 times Steve Traxel and Steve Wagner came out for 3 brew days, and we brewed 3 slightly different bases, inoculated with some fun yeast and some barrels, and we blended it together earlier this year, and here we are. This thing, I mean, I'm obviously super biased, but this tastes absolutely amazing. This is exactly what we were hoping for. Most of our brew team, when we first got Mason going, and even now, JJ, our head brewer, all came from Lost Abbey. So having some of that pedigree with them, and working on Duck Duck, as much as Tommy lets anybody touch his baby there, but just being around everything else. I wish sour beers like this sold better these days. We'd probably make more of them, but there's a lot of untapped talent of guys making great beers like this, and I couldn't be happier with how this turned out.
And this is just straight sour blonde. There's no fruit or hops?
0 fruit, very, very few hops. It's literally, we did a 10-barrel batch each year. So that yielded us, I want to say 12 to 14 neutral barrels of product each year. Not every barrel made it into the final blend. We had 5 or 6 that we had to dump. But that's it. There is 0 fruit in this. This is just straight funk, homie.
That's beautiful. Beautiful answer. And I love the funk in this beer. And I'm drinking a second glass, which I don't normally do, but I'm a huge sour and mixed fermentation fan. And you've hit this really this exceptional area where the yeast and bacteria come together and give you this sense of a tropical note that you would normally get from a fruit addition or from a really tropical hop. And that's the goal of all mixed fermentation, is to hit this area. So well fucking done. And happy anniversary to Urge. Whenever you get to party and other people get to drink this beer, they're gonna love it.
That's beer.
Oh, yeah. We'll end up doing, and hopefully by the end of this month, we'll actually do a bottle sale on this. It was a secondary fermentation in bottle with a little dosage of champagne yeast. And then we actually have a handful of 5-gallon kegs on this that we'll end up taking around the festival circuit whenever that starts up again. I'm sure Beer Zombies will end up getting a few kegs at their tap rooms out in Vegas. So, but this is definitely a huge labor of love. It takes so long to sit on beer like this. We would drink Cantillon and Duck Duck Gueuze on brew days with this, and we're just like, gosh, if our beer just tastes 1/10 as good as these, we'll be super happy with it. And
Nice.
and I'm just, may sound cocky, but I think we got there. So
yeah, I went down a couple weeks ago and I got to bring back a couple bottles, and this is before I knew I was going to come on here. So unfortunately, I drank them right away. Lambic is my favorite style of beer, period. And to me, it drank like a vintage foo. Like it had that kind of like musty peach notes on it, like a little bit of funk and like really bright. It was great. I mean, it's a very special beer. Super excited to have that one.
Yeah.
And Chris and Mike Arquinez are 2 guys I know that have absolutely insane loon collections at their house. So I feel like he's speaking from experience.
Yeah, I go a little hard in the paint when it comes to lambics. I wish I didn't. I'd have more money in my life.
Well, when I was looking up your bottle shops, research for the show, I was like, those motherfuckers have that much access to loons? It's so frustrating. For us, it's very difficult. Yes, I understand.
Well, that's the thing is in Nevada, everything goes through distribution. So everyone has the same amount of shot at everything, but no one was selling Cantillon at all. So I went through the distributor and I bought every single thing they have. So I think the shop that's like 4 miles from my house, I have about 15 cases of Cantillon stashed. And then, that's shop stuff. And then right behind me, I have like a wine cellar over here. And I have probably, 300 or 400 bottles of Cantillon over there. And then at the other shop, I have a walk-in that probably has, 100 bottles. Like that's my jam. That's my favorite brewer in the whole world. My favorite beer in the whole world is Saint Lamb. That's my all-time favorite beer in the whole world.
Yeah, you can plant a flag on that and never be ashamed of that answer.
Do you know what's weird though? For a while, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me offer you some advice. I mean, books are impressive and stuff, but you should pan over and have that as your background.
I know,
like 400 bottles of that. All right?
Well, my wife's in the wine business, so between wine and lambic, we have a lot of alcohol in this house.
Yeah. Speaking of wine, Grant should have been drinking Opus One in addition to those Gueuzes on brew days. I'm just saying.
Just off camera, along with the Pappy.
But the beer really is fantastic. You could have told me that there was peaches and apricots in it, and I would have totally bought it.
Yeah.
And I came into this beer really excited to try it, not just because of what you had said, but because a guy named Shaggy told me it turned out
Shaggy.
And so I was very excited to try it, and it lived up to all the expectations. I like that it's got a little extra body to it too, so it just makes all those great flavors that you like just kind of. It's not quite so thin and crisp and effervescent necessarily, but it's this nice, almost creamy finish on the back that I really like, because it just lets the whole experience come from the front to the back, and it's just, it's just a smooth transition. So you can just, boom. It makes you just want to keep drinking it too.
Is there a label for this? Because the bottles I drank were unlabeled, and I just saw his were unlabeled.
Ours are blank too.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that mine were unlabeled.
They're going to be so
special stuff, guys.
I was going to say, which does make it taste better when it's not even available to the public yet. So one thing
this was my Wizards and Zombies can. So.
Yeah. I did want to ask Grant, do you know what the ABV is?
Yes, the ABV is just south of 7. I believe it's 6.8.
Right.
Yeah. So
because I'm
true to style. The first year it was a straight blonde, and then the last 2 years it was a slight variation on Respeto, our Mexican lager, in terms of the base for it.
Awesome.
Well, it turned out
it turned out mwah, and when it is available for sale, I will be in line as well. So as long as that line is digital.
Definitely.
And there's a special burger and wings. Super hot wings and a special burger and this.
Oh, Abel knows about the hot wings.
Mm-hmm. I know about the hot wings too. I got pictures of before and after from 1 year, and it was really, you can tell something happened.
I was debating on doing this, but I'm going to go another Wizards and Zombies. That's not
all right. Every beer is a session beer if you believe in yourself enough. So
you guys check out this glass I made for it?
No, but wait here. Let's
it's not on Instagram. That's rad.
Yeah. Make you bigger. There you go. Show the ooh.
So it's like a full wrap, and it has all the cool black magic zombie wizard.
Yes. Is that glass still available, or are we already too late?
I actually kind of silently released it online, so it's still available. I didn't really promote it all that much because I wanted to kind of have it up there and not worry about it. I tend to forget things.
A few people listen to this show, so it might be gone after we.
No, I mean, and that's great. That's what it's for. But when I hype up a glass release, we tend to sell out pretty quick, and I just wanted to have that up there for a few days, kind of like. If you check the website, it's there,
Let the real fans get in on it.
Yeah, just kind of a little something fun. But it matches the label. So, by the way, the label is off of the movie House, too, if you guys have ever seen the movie House. Sorry. Where's my camera?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
He's ringing the doorbell, and then that's the this on the doorbell is the actual brew host symbol. It's the paddle, moon, and mash, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
Here, I can do that. Show us one more time. Oh, I didn't notice it was the paddle. That's great, man.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool stuff.
Very cool stuff. Man.
Which, if you haven't seen that movie is amazing too.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah. I was trying to explain it to my wife, and I go, it's kind of like the Muppets horror movie. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you. And she goes, you're not selling this to me. I said, it doesn't even need to be sold. You just need to watch it.
So, speaking of business, Chris, you're in Vegas, and it's a different situation, especially speaking COVID related to San Diego. How has the pandemic affected your business, and what services are you allowed to offer the public currently?
So I have what I like to call a nano tap room. It's very small. People tend to come. They're like, "Wow, this is small." It's literally an 8-person bar and 3 coolers to go in the first one. We have a couple of them, so that's the original one. But pre-pandemic, I mean, people would pack into there to the point where we'd have to open the doors and you kind of like stand inside, outside, like 50 people in this little room. I mean, Grant's seen it; he's been there. It gets crazy.
That's like a person per square foot.
It's the motion of the ocean.
It's pretty intense. And being a beer nerd, my whole thing is I wanted to be able to have a open bottle share policy at all times. So that is something that we built into the business, is that at any time you can bring in a beer and share with whoever's there, and there's never a repercussion for that. It's just, we welcome that. So we get people from all over the world that want to come in and share beers. So that part I really miss. I miss the interaction with people and guests because the bar tops are closed. So you cannot sit at the bars in Vegas. You can still, I'm partnered up with Skinny Fats, who's my business partner in the brick and mortar side of Beer Zombies, and they have a restaurant. So we can still sell draft and you can sit in the restaurant. A little bit different because you're not face to face. And so we kind of just rolled over and focused on to-go sales, the fact that we can do can releases and things like that. We just try to bring in anything that we can and do some cool stuff. This weekend, we're doing a 450 North can release. So we have a big one on the Saturday. Last couple weeks ago was Other Half, just kind of doing stuff like that. So we've we have evolved into that model for the time being until we can sit at bars again.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you were able to scratch on an existence and hopefully, you make it through to the other side when there's at least treatment, then hopefully right behind that a vaccine, and hopefully sometime soon we can hug our friends again. Exactly.
I miss it, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
have a remote show in Las Vegas, things like that.
Yes.
You guys are welcome anytime.
Yes. As soon as
it worked.
Yes. We sneak these things in on purpose.
So, I'm not familiar with how this works. Can I comment back to these people because they're asking
absolutely
me questions? How do I do that?
So you would have to have another tab open on your computer at going to our Facebook.
Oh, okay, cool. I can
and then vocally say it too, you over there.
Yeah, because a couple people are saying like burial beer. So
yes, so this is what Matt said. He said, "Have you seen the artwork from Burial Beer Co. in Asheville? Great brewery, and you guys should talk."
I will say between Burial and True in Colorado, those are the ones that people say that we need to work together the most out of every other brewery. It's always Burial True, because we kind of both have that horror theme, scary, whatever you want to call it. And then Drecker actually came out for my the Beer Zombies festival, and they poured. We did an event at Beer Zombies. They're super rad too. But yeah, I mean, Burial, I love Burial. I talked to them at Shelton Fest in Colorado a couple years ago, and I just told them, I said, look, end of the day, I'm a fan of your guys' stuff, and if you guys ever want to do anything, you let me know.
That's
hopefully
cool.
That'll happen.
Open invitation is what I'm hearing.
Open invitation.
Excellent, man. That is great. And yes, Matt, we should get in on that. We should get in on setting up that 3-way Burial True Beer Zombie, and then we can make sure that we get our name added to the back of the can and be like, no, we set it up. We get the finder's
logo, just an Indian logo. That's all.
The finder's fee.
Look at what he's wearing now.
Finder's fee is an Indian beer show logo. Ooh, he went and got the Burial hat.
Like
nice.
I said, I'm a sucker for can art. I mean, it literally I love. I was talking to somebody the other day. I feel like in about 50 years from now, there's going to be a, in one of these museums is going to have all these cans in it, and look what they did in 2020. They did art on cans, because it's become so much more than just a name of a beer and that's it. You have to put your thought into it, and you have to really wrap the whole thing in a bow. It can't just, unfortunately, you can't just make a good beer and sell it. You have to have everything, the whole package nowadays.
Yeah, good beer is like the starting point now. It used to be focus on the liquid and everything else will fall in place. Now you have to have the total fucking package that starts with amazing beer, but also ends with being a great business person, which is why friends over finance is a really, really bold motto, Grant. Bold motto. But speaking of how are you guys operating? What are you guys offering the public currently?
Well, so one segue real quick. You guys should absolutely do a road show, assuming Beer Zombies Fest happens next February. No pressure, Chris. Who knows where everything will be at. But you guys should absolutely come out. It's one of the best beer festivals on the West Coast.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. You mentioned it earlier. Can you? Well, we'll come back to it.
Yeah. I'll go in after Matt or after Grant.
But it's definitely been an interesting time in our industry. I use that term "interesting" very, very broadly. But in general, we're fighting the good fight. It's difficult out there with things changing regularly. And we thought we got some good news Friday with things reopening, and now we have the name and phone number registers that we've got to keep for indoor dining, which on the surface doesn't sound like much, but on the front lines is a very difficult thing to actually roll out. Here we're going into a holiday weekend. It's supposed to be 100 and something degrees on Saturday and Sunday, and that indoor dining would sure be nice, but I think it's literally going to take something like that for people to feel comfortable filling out a card with their names and phone numbers on it. So for contact tracing. So it's the big thing that we're waiting for is not just reopening, but for ultimately the general public to get to a point where they're past some of the fear of this. Now, I don't say that to say that this is not a big deal. I don't think it's a conspiracy or anything like that. But I've talked to so many people who are so afraid to leave their houses. And, San Diego in general has a fairly low infection rate, all things considered, and especially in North County where all of our restaurants are, it's incredibly low. So, I'm praying for a vaccine sooner rather than later. We're seeing positive growth in sales trends. The brewery is doing incredible. We're up to 14 states of distribution now. So we've got a little bit of stuff everywhere. But ultimately, we're a restaurant company first, and we need the restaurants to get back on track to keep getting everything else going. So it's tough. The same song for everybody. I feel like almost every day I've got a friend calling me, telling me they're about ready to close up shop, or that they just did close up shop, and that's hard too.
Yeah,
I have to commend you though on your ingenuity through this time. I love what you've done with the three menus, for instance, at Urge, and I like comeback sauce, and I really enjoy that chicken sandwich, man. We ordered it several times, and it's addictively good. But I like that you took three different concepts and made it into something interesting and made it something that could service so many different people. It's difficult times for sure, but when people take the time to kind of like, let's take the best of what we can do, split it into places where it can help three different kinds of people who want three different kinds of things. I don't know. It's better than just kind of like sticking to your guns, like here's what we've always done, and let me try to adapt it, versus let me come up with multiple things that could really work and just try to make this the best it can be. And in my opinion, it's been really good, just as somebody who's purchased it and enjoyed it.
Yeah. For those that don't know, we did launch 3 Ghost Kitchen brands. We launched Apocalypse Taco, which is basically some gringo tacos. Like we got poutine tacos and Reuben tacos and Big Mac tacos and things like that. Lo-Fi Pie, we actually moved the pizza oven from Brothers Provisions, RIP, and moved that down into Urge and Rancho Bernardo. Got a few new dough recipes and really kind of brought that back to life. And then the most ironic one is we have Grant's Fried Chicken. I don't eat chicken, but originally we were going to call it Dixie Chicken because I thought it was clever. And then the Dixie Chicks changed their name as things started getting so I was like, this is pretty tone deaf. If we stick with this name, we need to get a little more progressive. And but we were running out of time. We had to launch a website, so Grant's Fried Chicken it is. So, but it's been good. It's been interesting, and yeah, I'm a big believer in you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always get. And right now, there is nothing normal about what's going on there. So let's throw some stuff against the wall and see if we get some traction with it. And surprisingly enough, the fried chicken one is the one that is definitely getting some traction.
That's awesome, man. I have to try this chicken sandwich. I'm a connoisseur of fried products, and I must, for quality control reasons, not for my own pleasure, but it has to be assessed.
You know how you can judge somebody on their fried chicken? What's your favorite fried chicken fast food sandwich? This defines what I think about you going forward, just so you know.
Yeah, so I think currently I have to say Smash Burger in San Diego, where no one expects this burger place to make this killer fucking chicken sandwich. Those look really good, man. Yeah. Really good. Before that, Alpine Beer Co.'s Brew Pub in Alpine made the best chicken sandwich I've ever had. Unfortunately, that's an RIP situation as well. But and then, you know, the world thinks Popeyes currently. I haven't even had it, and I'm doing the world a service.
I used to get it on the way back from Tapcraft when we would do our show on Mir Mesa. I'd go down there, and it'd be like, "Yeah, I finally have to try this thing." It was damn good.
Yeah, there's one like maybe a half a mile from the Beer Zombie shop. And every once in a while when I get out late, because in Vegas they're open super late. I think Popeyes here is open to like 2 a.m. And I'm like, man, I'm hungry. I don't want Taco Bell. You know, I want something quick. I'm like, ooh, chicken sandwich from Popeyes.
So you brought it up. So what's your favorite?
I don't know. Right now, I've been truthfully eating a lot of Popeyes, but we have some good ones in town. We have a Mabel's, which is fantastic. I like Crack Shack in San Diego a lot.
Crack Shack's good.
Yeah, it's super good. I mean, if I was going to go just like quick, it would either be that or Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A makes a good chicken sandwich too.
Yes.
But it's Sunday. What are you going to do?
I know. And it pains me because sometimes I'm just like, God, why do you have to just be pains in the asses about everything? But the Chick-fil-A sandwich is good. But
why does hate taste good? That's sad.
And it sucks too because, you know, I'll drive by it and I'm like, nah, fuck these guys. And then I'm like, and then I see the line wrapped around the block and I'm just like, but I will say, KFC chicken sandwich? No.
Nah. No. So Joe brought up Wendy's, and I agree. Very good, very very good for
Wendy's has the best spicy chicken nuggets.
Yeah, that's not a contest actually. Yeah, that's a pretty good answer, man. But we were supposed
real quick. There's a VIP who asked a very important question for.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna bring.
It's my wife. She legitimately loves the arancini at the Barrel Room, and we get it a lot. So we treat ourselves to one purchased meal a week. And she freaking loves those things. So when are they coming back?
I know a guy. You let me know. I'll get your hookup. I'll get your fix.
You have to go to grantaranciniballs.com.
Gab.com. Got it. All right.
Oh my God. That's awesome, man.
Cruiseandballs.com.
They're smooth like glass.
Yeah. Would you massage these balls? Anyways, so we were supposed to circle back around to Zombie Fest, which is, Chris, your beer festival, which you got to have this year right before COVID hit the fan.
We were the first and last festival in Las Vegas for 2020.
Yeah. So, how does the festival normally go? What's the intention behind it, and has it been successful for you?
Yeah, it's been a great journey, and also takes about 6 months of my life off every single time I plan it.
Yeah.
This is actually a conversation I had with Kyle from Horace when he was doing his. We were kind of talking back and forth, and he's like, "Dude, like I feel like I've worked 3 years on this." I said, "Yeah, it's so stressful. It's not even selling tickets is surprisingly the easy part. It's getting." It's babysitting all the breweries and having them fill out paperwork and make sure they actually send the beer.
Yes.
You know, you'll be surprised how many people you'd be like, "Hey man, did you send the beer?" "Oh yeah, it left." And then a week later, "Hey, we're getting ready to send that beer. Where do you want it to?" I'm like, "It should have been here by now." You know, it's a lot of work. And the funny thing is Grant knows Dave Bowers is a guy that we work with a lot here in Vegas. He runs the craft beer division at Vin Sauvage. He's Mason's distributor and helps me out with all my stuff. So 4 years ago, I had hit him up and I said, "Hey, I want to do a kind of like a tap takeover as a thank you for everyone that supported Beer Zombies." And he goes, "Tap takeover?" He goes, what are you talking about? Do a festival." And I said, "Well, I don't know how to do a festival." He's like, "Come to my office. Let's talk." So it literally started the first year. I think we had 150 people and maybe 15, 20 breweries. And last year we had 150 breweries and about 2,500 guests and probably another 500 or so, you know, brewers from all around the world. And the cool thing is we got to the point last year where, you know, Grant came out and poured, you know, the owners of the other half came out and poured, the owners from Dewey, Imprint, Drecker, everybody that was involved sent somebody or they came out themselves. And to me, that's what, when I go to a festival, if I see, Grant pouring his own beer, I'm like, this is a legit festival. This is not just some ABC person pouring beer. They don't care about it. So I kind of felt when I got to that last year, I was like, wow, I feel like this festival's kind of on the map now. It's a good time, and it went off without a hitch, and we were lucky. It was right before COVID really hit. There was never any issues. I was waiting, like anybody watching the news when COVID started dropping, like right in there in March, I was like, wow, is this going to be some sort of outbreak thing? Nothing ever happened. So it was super solid, successful, plenty of beer all around. We had brewery. I mean, we had Cantillon, Dre Fontaine, The Answer, Mason, anybody you can think of that. Yeah, I know. Anybody you can think of that was involved is all breweries that I either support and sell or drink myself or trade for or whatever it was. It was never somebody I didn't and was already involved with. In the way that I run that is I never ask for handouts or free beers because I never want to owe anybody a favor. So everything is purchased. So that way, Excellent. When we purchase beer, we know that we're getting the freshest beer, the best beer, not something that, oh yeah, send that to Beer Zombies. It's it's out of code. So I think that kind of adds to the whole entire aspect of that beer festival, is just knowing that people are coming out with bangers. There's no shelfies at this beer festival. This is stuff that you want to wait in line for and drink, and as a beer person, just leave and be like, wow, that was worth every single penny.
That's cool, man. And I will have to add that to my list of festivals that I have to go to, which is pretty long, actually. But it's going to have to be right behind the Firestone Walker Invitational, which is the next big one I have to get to. God damn it. I miss it every year. Like every year they're like, oh, it happens to be on the date of your friend's wedding. You sons of bitches. But whatever.
You don't need friends.
You're right. I made it up. I'm sorry.
Quick question. Yes. I would love to know, at the Beer Zombies Fest, how many people, based on your assumptions and what you've seen, are local versus people who came in for it. I'd love to know kind of like what the reception is locally.
So I actually did I did a little bit of a deeper dive, and I pulled up like ticket sales and kind of sorted them by area codes to kind of check it out. And I would say it was about 50-60% was Nevada locals, with a Nevada area code, and the rest were from out of town. But we had people that flew in from Norway, Switzerland, Japan, from all around the world. We had a wedding that they held their reception at the festival because they did not want to miss the fest. So they got married, and the whole entire party came to the festival. So
it was Brian's friends.
Dressed and everything.
Yeah, I mean, they were in their tuxes and their wedding dresses. So yeah, I would say we had it was a good 30-40% of people that came from elsewhere besides Las Vegas.
That's really cool. That's a great draw. And I see Grant says that Mark Arquinius is around lurking. I love that guy.
He texted me and said, I see you, but he's either in the restaurant right there or he's on here. So.
He's a really good guy. So thanks, Mike. Welcome to the show. If you're watching.
Chris actually came and helped me pour at the Mostra Festival, which I think was either the week before or the week after Zombie.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Super fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a great event too. Those guys kill it. I wish we had them in our backyard, like you guys are lucky enough to have them in our backyard.
Yes, we are. We're very lucky.
Awesome.
Grant took me there before we were dropping off something, and I had this like banana cold brew something other. I still think about it, and that's how I know. Like I'm like, I love coffee in general. Like I'm a coffee and beer, that my two weaknesses, and this cold brew banana something or other. I mean, I wish I could have a keg of that at my house. It was so good.
Yeah, Mike, you heard it here first.
Yeah. You could sell one whole keg.
You'll have to drive it to Vegas and come back.
And the good thing is, you don't know I ask for things. I don't want things for free, so I'm actually do want to buy it.
Yeah, that's right, man. So we got to get into our number 2 zombie movie of all time, and we're gonna go backwards this time, which means nope. This hand, everything's backwards. So that means Grant's gonna go first. Your second favorite zombie movie of all time, Grant.
Take off mute, Grant.
Yes. That's
you.
Yes. There you go.
Well, it was a silent film from the 20s.
Yes, exactly. Very, very quiet.
Nosferatu. Ash
Oh,
versus
yes,
Evil Dead.
great. You're stealing Abel's title.
Yeah, well, it all ties in with my
which
number
you have
one
to wait for
pick.
the end to get to, but that's really cool. one of the greatest scenes of that movie is the depth of blood he's walking through at the end. It's great. It's a great movie. All right, Estella, how about you? What's your second favorite zombie movie?
Because it makes me laugh. Zombieland.
Oh, it's cool.
It's not scary.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's a funner romp through zombie world.
Yeah, and it's. I just really like that movie. So didn't like part 2 as much, but I mean,
no, but
do you always check the back seat?
Yeah.
any movie that has Bill Murray as a zombie is like,
right. Yes,
and some calisthenics and shit.
Yeah. Rule number 4: cardio. Yes, great one. That's awesome. All right, Abel, number 2.
Since we're going with a comedy theme, I go Shaun of the Dead. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are fucking amazing when they do movies together, and Shaun of the Dead is one of the best. I was a little disappointed when they were throwing records at the zombie to kill him because I'm a huge record fan, and that was killing me right there, seeing those records break. But yes, Shaun of the Dead.
That's awesome, and you agreed with show favorite Mr. Bobineau, who chimed in with the same one.
And there's another version out there called Juan of the Dead, which I haven't seen that one yet, but I do want to.
I'm like, Juan of the Dead? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's out there. I haven't seen it either, but I heard it's good.
That's right. All right, Chris, number 2 for you, sir.
So I actually am going Train to Busan. That movie is, if anybody hasn't seen it, so the only zombies that kind of freak me out are fast zombies. And that movie, that movie was intense. I think that was the first zombie movie. I play zombie movies at the shop a lot, and I put it on and then started it right again and played it again. It was such a good movie. I mean, it's just insane.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, fast zombies are scary.
They're scary.
So scary.
Yes,
I'm a big guy. I don't like to run, so I'm like, man, if there's fast zombies, I'm actually fucked.
The Dawn of the Dead, the 2004 version, that's the first time I kind of really noticed that zombies were fast, and that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. Yes,
I was like, and then I think the movie 28 Days Later or something that came out later that year, and it's like
we'll get to that.
They're really fast.
Mr. Hernandez, what about you? Number 2 for you, sir.
I really like Night of the Living Dead, the original.
That's right.
Yeah.
It really sets a tone for an entire genre. I know it probably isn't the first one ever, but
it was.
I think a lot of people have
White
really.
Zombie is the first one, but I mean, that's the first mainstream zombie movie of all time for sure.
Hello, Barbara. We're coming to get you.
And just, I happened to turn on TV, was looking down the guide, and I saw that, and I'm like, check this out. Like, you know what? For back then, that's pretty damn rad. That movie is pretty damn good.
The first horror movie with an African American lead actor.
Oh, nice.
Really?
I did appreciate that part, and I was really surprised to see it. And I don't know. I think it held up pretty damn well.
Read on it because it was written for a white actor, and then when the African American guy tried out for it, he changed his whole entire script, and it's so much better than the original script. So much better than the original script.
Oh wow! I thought you were going to say they immediately made sure he would die first.
It's
you know how it is.
Yes,
He was
yes,
a red shirt guy from Star Trek. You know, that's what I'm saying. But I think that's awesome. I have to check that out. Now I've gone too far.
No.
All right, Brian, what's yours?
So similar to you and Estella, my number 2 kind of fell in the comedy zombie movie land, and it's Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. This movie is fucking hilarious if you're high.
Never seen that. I'm like, I've never seen that.
It's really, really, really funny movie. It does have one not so fun scene if you're a dude, but other than that, it is a hilarious freaking zombie movie, and check it out. It is very fun. It's in the same vein as what you mentioned,
Shaun of the Dead.
Yes, exactly. It's very similar. Very similar to vein.
Shaun of the Dead.
It might be actually split the middle between Shaun and Juan of the Dead. But great movie. Check it out. It's streaming everywhere. And that brings us to what we drank. And this is a very, very, very complicated segment where
you
we
do
want
to go to Vegas.
This is where we.
I've spent many times there. I kind of forget about those days.
Well, it stays in Vegas, so there you go.
You can't remember them. That's
exactly why. Yep.
This is where we talk about the last beer we drank before the show, And we're going to go counterclockwise this time, and we're going to talk to Mr. Hernandez first. What were you sipping on, sir?
Pizza Port, today's forecast IPA with Mosaic, Cashmere, Azaka. It was really good. Really nice. Very light drinking for an IPA, but not a light beer by any sense. It was really delicious. Very dry.
Nice.
We like dry, crisp IPAs in San Diego. Damn it. For sure. Chris, did you want to play? What were you drinking before you joined us?
Yeah, actually, I was at the draft room. We're getting ready to do a tap takeover with 450 North. So I was cleaning lines and tapping beers. So I was drinking a bunch of fruit pureed beers.
At 450 North? Are you what?
No, here, way. Yeah, in Vegas. Yeah, no, but so that's what I was doing right before I came home to do this show.
Awesome. Abel, last beer you had?
Let's see. I got off work early today, decided to go to O'Brien's to have lunch, a late lunch, and happened to see Kobe Chandler there. And let's see, who's it? Matt Aiken, the people from Duckfoot. So Matt and Lexi. And they were all there. And of course, Tyson was there. But the beer that I had there was the Nickel Beer Company Banner Grade IPA.
Nice.
It was this basically it said on the board it's a Mosaic IPA. I did look it up. It says it has some Simcoe in it, but it was basically just really tropical, really fruity. And it was like, I think like at a 6%, it went down really smooth as a good IPA. It almost seemed like a summer type IPA.
Rad. Love. Cool. It's actually a pretty good beer. I haven't had this year's version, but it's a regular of Nickel. Check them out if you get a chance.
They're Nickel's only open on the weekends. I saw. So if you need to go, you can only go on the weekends.
And a great drive up to the Julian area, and his outdoor area is freaking a wonderful place to hang out and drink. So go check it out.
Home apple pies with you, which is my favorite part of Julian,
indeed,
because I love food.
So Estella, what were you drinking before the show?
So yesterday I went to Hidden Craft because they had their first patio chat, which they're doing once a month to feature a brewery, and it was Burning Beard. So I had all the Burning Beards there, but Normcore was the last one that I had, and I was kind of chatting with Shannon, and it was cool. So yeah, it's a great beer. Just really enjoy that beer all the time. So
By the Bucket is about, I think, the proper serving size of Normcore. That's awesome. Grant, before the show, what was the last beer you had?
So I was up at the brewery in San Marcos earlier today, and a beer we were supposed to have for the show, Galaxy Revenge, but was having some of that, making sure everything is carving up right for packaging. That beer will end up getting – originally we were going to release that beer tomorrow, and due to logistics, and I'll blame COVID just because COVID can't do itself.
Cool. Right? Yeah. There you go.
COVID's fault. That beer will get released next week, but damn, it's tasting good. So we're really happy with that. And that was a beer we originally did with Chris. We did a Mason's Revenge in February. We've turned it into a single hop series. So now we've done Citra Revenge, Nelson Revenge, Galaxy Revenge will get released next week, and then Mosaic Revenge is coming up here shortly.
Such a fun series. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that one's cool for me because we get a lot of the Vegas beer scene is really infant, as far as coming up. So it's kind of cool to be able to show somebody like this is what a all Nelson beer tastes like, and they get to really learn about it, which is kind of cool. You get to do some easy education without coming off too pompous about things.
That's awesome, man. And so I guess I get to close it out. And breaking news. No, just kidding. It wasn't Pariah this week. No way. But for whatever reason, the last beer I drank before the show was Felix from New Belgium. Pre-buyout. This was left over from my vacation to Asheville in 19 or 18. I don't remember when. If you guys, whether they're owned by a big beer company or not, that facility in Asheville is amazing. They literally rehabbed a poisoned lot along the river to build their brewery in Asheville, and it's a gorgeous. They have this crazy interior spiral slide. You get to slide down from the welcome level down to the production level. Really cool tour, an amazing place to drink. So if you're in Asheville ever, even though they don't necessarily qualify as indie beer anymore, check out their brewery. It's amazing. After you have gone to the Mecca that is Sierra Nevada, if you're in Asheville, they have their own fucking road that goes over their own fucking bridge, over their own fucking river. Then you get to the brewery. That's how amazing that place is. I did the 3.5-hour Beer Geek tour of Sierra Nevada, and when we bought the tickets, we were like 3.5 hours at a brewery. That's for a tour. That's a long ass time. We're walking back to the tap room, and we're like, we're done? What? That place is amazing. So, but Felix from New Belgium, great beer.
Quick Sierra Nevada story.
Please.
I promise.
Love.
So I've been lucky enough to go to beer camp twice. The second time we went, we did 5 beers for 5 years for the Urge 5th anniversary 5 years ago. So we did Dogfish, New Belgium, Sierra, Mother Earth, and Alesmith Velvet Speedway. It was a pretty epic year. But I remember going up to Sierra that year, and Brian Grossman was helping us do the brew for the beer we ended up making with them. And knowing that Sierra Nevada had started as kind of a homebrew shop, I said, hey, do you and your dad still homebrew? And Brian's like, oh yeah, we homebrew all the time. And I thought that was the coolest story. And I'm imagining like the most badass garage homebrew setup of all time. And so I couldn't let it go. So it's like, where do you guys homebrew at? And he's like, right over there. And he points to their 25-barrel pilot system.
Yeah.
Like, bro, that is not homebrewing. You press a couple of buttons and brain whooshes in from other parts of. Anyway, so that's my Sierra Nevada story.
That's great. Yeah, their pilot system would be a dream system for many people that own breweries here in San Diego.
I mean, Mason is a 15-barrel system. We'll do like 10 or 11,000 barrels of beer this year. So if you're on a 25 system homebrewing, yeah.
Exactly. So speaking of beer, it's time for beer number 3, which is Cafe Cohiba. And yes, we'll let Grant model the label for us, and then he's gonna set the beer down and unmute his mic and tell us about it. But generically, rum barrel aged imperial stout.
Yeah. So this beer actually has another Vegas tie. So when we started doing the pool beer each year for the MGM, we've done it the last 2 years. Obviously, not a lot of pool action this year, but MGM Casinos had a deal with Prairie to do some barrel-aged beers for their bars. And apparently, and I'm hearing the story secondhand, so take that for what it's worth. Apparently, Prairie, at the last minute, decided to pull out. And MGM was using El Dorado rum from Guyana as like a house high-end rum and in some of their properties there. And so they literally had a container full of these 15-year-old freshly dumped Guyana rum barrels from South America. They're like, Prairie doesn't want them anymore. I mean, you guys can have them if you want. You just got to pay to get them to your place from New York. And I'm like, wait a second. Like 70 freshly dumped rum barrels. And for brewers that are watching right now, rum barrels and tequila barrels we get are always infected. Always.
They're the worst barrels as far as I've been told.
You always want to mess with them, and they're always jacked. So I'm like, you know what? $1,000 to get this whole container shipped out from New York. If a quarter of the barrels are good, this will be worth the investment. And they came out, and they were almost all in really good shape. So we actually stuck 2 different beers in them. And I was a big cigar guy before I got married. And now I'm allowed to enjoy a cigar from time to time. I love my wife, and it's too expensive to get divorced. So,
that's pretty great.
Yeah, not over a cigar.
Yeah, exactly. But I still remember back in the day going down to TJ and getting Cohibas, and that was Cohibas were one of the first cigars that really got me into cigars. And then definitely having some of the mystique about, you can't really get them legally in the States. There's the Dominican Cohiba and the Cuban Cohiba, which is what we modeled the label after. So I was like, all right, how do we do a Cuban coffee? And we talked with Jay Wakefield a couple of years ago about doing a Cuban coffee stout, and it just didn't quite come to fruition. So we're like, all right, well, here's the opportunity to just do this on our own. So it's an imperial milk stout aged for about a year in these 15-year-old El Dorado, Guyana rum barrels, and that rum goes for like $100 a bottle, so it's no slouch on the rum. And then cacao, vanilla, and Mostra coffee. So to really try to mimic that that Cuban coffee sort of roast. So now I have a love-hate relationship with Untapped, just like I do with Yelp as a restaurant.
Yes.
And so I will say this does not have the greatest Untapped ratings, but I truly believe, and I'm 100% biased, and I admit that right up front, that there are so many whiskey barrel-aged beers out there, which I love. You know, rum does not taste like whiskey. And I think the characters coming through on the spirit side of this are exactly what we intended, but maybe not necessarily what people were expecting. So especially as it warms up, you get a ton of great rum notes along with that Cuban coffee flavor that, you know, I'm really proud of this beer and really happy with how it turned out. You know, 12.5% ABV will go absolutely amazing with a Cohiba cigar. Then I'll skip over the rest of the Untapped comments on it.
I will say rum and brandy and tequila and really outside of bourbon barrel aged beers in general get hammered in Untapped, and I'm not exactly sure why that is, but whatever. You brought a beer to the table that has originality, and I enjoy it massively. I'm not the biggest rum fan. Certainly drink it every now and then, but this apparently Abel's giving them thumb. That means I think you're kind of a tiki guy sometimes too, and so maybe that rum
I'm just a rum guy. I mean, I'm a rum and whiskey kind of fella.
Excellent. Well, this beer really, really brings that rum barrel to the forefront. Mm-hmm. And so if you are someone that's like, ooh, I kind of like rum, maybe this beer isn't for you. But if you are someone that enjoys rum, this beer is going to hit hard. The chocolate vanilla rum combo is amazing. And a way to deliver another ABV smoker. You said this was 12.8? Mm-hmm. I didn't pay attention to when I drank it, or when I poured it.
12.5. Yeah. So
it's
trying to get us drunk, guys. He's trying to get us drunk.
Yeah.
I get the cafe cubano in this. This is great. Like I think it's delicious.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, ultimately, whether it's what we're trying to do with food at the restaurants or beer, you know, there's that intent, and that what we're trying to accomplish, obviously, based on the Untapped ratings, is not exactly what some people were expecting, but what you're saying, Estella, is exactly what we were going for. It's getting those notes, and it's having that type of experience with this beer.
Yeah. Same. We have a rum barrel that you and I are working on together too. So there's another rum barrel.
Great. Another rum barrel in the future.
Do tell.
It was actually the rum barrel that aged the collab I did with Superstition, so it held the meat in it.
Ooh.
And once we racked that off, we sent it down. I don't know how much we can get into it, but we sent it down to Mason. So
Get into it.
What was that? Beautiful beer that we collabed with Horace on. We've filled that into Chris's rum barrel from Superstition. So it's like a turducken of amazingness.
It's like Superstition, Beer Zombies, Mason, Horace, juxtaposition.
Just so you guys know, we're down to taste anything for you guys. That's the service we provide here. You have anything that has tequila. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Yo soy de Jalisco. I will try all of it.
we do it for the people. We do it for the people.
Exactly.
One of the proudest moments of owning Mason was we did a 25 tap takeover in Guadalajara about a year and a half ago. And not only was it amazing, it was at Patan Ale House down in Guadalajara. But as you walk in there, the what was the show that was on that always had? Dang it! I can't believe I can't remember the name of the show right now. That was on YouTube. That was doing some stuff. The guy had the green car with all the stickers on it.
What's on draft?
Yes, exactly. What's on draft? They had not only what's on draft pictures everywhere, but then the SD Brewers calendar from multiple years, like broken up. It was a San Diego themed beer bar in Guadalajara, and it was absolutely amazing. So, and we had a bunch of collab beers that we took down there with us. We had some Humble Sea stuff, we had some Hora stuff, and it was pretty awesome.
If I can travel, I'll be there in October. So hopefully, if I can go to Guadalajara, I have my tickets. Got to go see my family, but we'll see. We'll see.
Check out Patan. It was absolutely amazing. And they had a second bar called Grillo that we were at the second night that also did 10 taps of our stuff.
Yeah,
that's right. So Dan Diego's asked an important question: is that beer available? Is it out there? Who's got that beer?
Dan Diego's knows how to get a hold of us.
Yes, excellent. That means they can get it. We like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, Dan Diego's is definitely very active on all of our social media channels, and they're somebody we want to make sure we hook up.
They're good guys, and they actually provided the beer for next week's Indie Brew Co show. They were the precipice of setting it all up. And we're really appreciative, and they're a patron, so
Brian,
all very nice.
Am I correct in saying that all beers from next week you can get at Dan Diego's?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so just so you guys know for next week,
tomorrow or Saturday.
Indie was it 2 weeks ago when we released the Haze Twins? I met them up there. He's
nice.
Cool.
That's great.
Nice.
Yeah, so tomorrow or Saturday when I publish the beers for next week, they're all available at Dan Diego's. So get over there and grab them. You won't have to go. You won't have to go to. They're on Marina Boulevard, just south of Milton. And if you know where Milton and Marina Boulevard is, you live in Claremont, pretty much. But anyways, if you get off of Marina from 8, it's the left fork of Marina, not the right fork of Marina. Left fork of Marina. 2 miles down the road, they're on the right. Cool little compound that stretches from Marina Boulevard back about 4 buildings. So it's a much bigger facility than you believe it is. But
and
great guys.
Food is bomb too. So yeah,
absolutely. So Chris, when I was doing my normal research, before the show, I look up everyone. I like I said, I've known about you for almost 7 years now, which I think is your entire history. But as I was reading. Sorry, cats. I do have cats that I just got attacked a little bit. But as I was reading the last published interview with you, at that time you had not been able to pour Beer Zombies beer in Vegas in your shop. Has that dream been realized yet? Yeah.
So Vegas is on lockdown. We have that covered. We have 2 shops in Vegas right now with a third one that's as soon as our governor allows bar seating open, we'll open that one. It's ready to roll. The final piece in that puzzle was we have a Beer Zombies in Salt Lake City, and working with Grant, we've got, I think, picked up maybe this week or next week. So we'll officially be able to launch Beer Zombies Brewing with Mason Ale Works at the Beer Zombies in Salt Lake City.
Nice.
That is freaking cool.
Rad.
Yeah. And so while we have you, do you know all your addresses by heart? Okay, no. Great. Never mind.
I barely know. I know like 2 of my kids' birthdays. You're addresses.
Okay, we'll pretend I didn't ask the question. But when I publish the article a week from Monday with the audio version, we'll include the addresses of your physical bottle shops. Which
just fix that in post, right?
That's what you exactly. There you go, Abel. So for those that don't really know, much about Beer Zombies, just to kind of recap real fast. Started very small and meager, beer reviews, minor beer, craft beer supported brand of Beer Zombies, exploded, and then started doing major collaborations with, like as you said earlier, anyone that would do it and that would bring an experimental at the time style of hazy IPAs to Vegas, and then now 3 bottle shops, 2 in Vegas, 1 in Salt Lake City, and now your own brewing company with this partnership with Mason. You make me
sound really cool. Can you just come around with me and hang out?
Yes, yeah.
I'm really not that cool, I promise.
Yes, we'll just walk around and be your hype man. That's
Brian's gonna be your Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
Yes. What? But because time is getting short in our show, we're gonna jump right into beer 4 because Mason is not the type of brewery that does the minimum. They're the type of brewery that does the maximum, and we do cap our beers featured on the show at 4 because even though we're home, we do want to survive the show. So, Grant, ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie.
Welcome to the
what is the story behind this beer, and what are we about to put in our face?
So originally, like I said earlier, we were talking about doing a Galaxy or then. Unfortunately, we'll blame COVID. It just didn't quite happen. But I mean, we got to go 4. We got to push the limits. So most of our brewers are really, really happy with the fact that West Coast IPAs seem to be making a little bit of a comeback.
We're all happy about that.
Yeah. So, but what we're trying to do is bridge that gap between some of the hazies and some of the West Coast. So, Ball Don't Lie, we made in sort of commemoration for the NBA season restarting. I grew up in LA, so I'm definitely a big Lakers fan. JJ, our head brewer, is a big Lakers fan.
Tomorrow, let's go.
Oh, man. So, Kobe was 1 month older than me. And I remember, like, my freshman year of college, he was like the first guy my age who was a superstar.
It's a Kobe tattoo.
Of course, Chris has a tattoo.
So far, he's had a tattoo about
I got
every
lots
subject.
of them. Don't make me take my shirt off because I got space on my back.
Ooh, do we get the challenge? Do we get the challenge? Let's go challenge.
I only have the one. I just had the one big one.
So this is a West Coast IPA with 100% Strata hops. So we're trying to get some of that juicy sort of Strata flavor in there, but kind of go West Coast with it a little bit. So great nose on this beer. Just got released last week. Super approachable. And we're really happy with how this beer turned out as well. And obviously had a little bit of fun with the Space Jam throwback artwork. Keep forgetting which way. Exactly.
Yeah, it's backwards, and then I zoomed in on you just in time for it to be gone. Yes, indeed, it's really cool.
Great label.
Yeah, it all turned out great. The artwork turned out great, and with all of the beers you guys do, and especially Beer Zombies, Abe was wearing the Space Jam shirt, by the way.
And it's dancing.
Yeah, you're.
This is my zombies loonies.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a little.
That's pretty specific, Abel. You did really good, man. But again, strong artwork on today's show, just in general, and it's something that I really like about craft beer. Until you cross the line into like straight up IP theft, you guys don't. What your design is what I like about breweries when they do it right, which is like an homage. You're taking something that makes us have an impression of that thing, but you're not straight up jacking their art. And
no copy pasta here. No click and paste.
Yes, exactly. Copy pasta.
And don't get me wrong, we've pushed the boundaries a little bit in the past. We had Pulpicana, which got us a nice cease and desist letter from Tropicana, which I have saved that letter because they had a really good sense of humor about it, at least. And then we did Flat Black, our collaboration with Moxa not too long ago. That I know we certainly weren't the first people to kind of use the Krylon spray paint can, but I selfishly feel like we did it better than a lot of other people. And
that beer's so good, by the way.
I would rather, just like you're saying, take inspiration, have that little bit of nostalgic homage, and then try to put our own spin on it.
Flat Black almost took over B.A. Baracus as my favorite Mason beer, but it didn't. It was that good. I was like, damn, this is a really good beer. But then I was like, nah, it's not as good as B.A. Baracus.
Yeah, B.A. Baracus is damn fine.
That's a special type of beer right there.
It really is. So let's talk about the future, Chris. What's next? What can we expect from Beer Zombies in the forecastable future?
So I'm real bad at future, but I can give you like the next couple weeks.
Perfect.
So I leave.
That's still future.
Yeah, I leave on the 17th to fly out to Philadelphia. I am doing a collab with Imprint Brewing. Yeah, look at this sneak peek. That's the new next Beer Zombies beer.
Creep show logo. I like that.
Yeah.
Nice. The hop show.
Great.
So that's the next Beer Zombies Brewing beer. That's going to be a double dry hop hazy IPA. Stay in my lane. Do what we do. Head out to Imprint and do a collab. I'm doing a smoothie collab with them on Thursday. Friday, I drive down to Burley Oak. I'm doing 2 collabs with Burley Oak, a zombie virus, zombie antidote. Saturday, I go to Maryland and do a collab with Dewey and RAR. Sunday, I drive down to The Answer for a yet to be determined. And then Monday, I come home. So that's my weeks right there. A little travel.
So nothing going on. Just really boring. Wow.
Just work-related stuff.
Just
Wow.
typical work days.
This is worse.
No,
off,
I
yeah.
mean, honestly, like when I say it out loud, I'm like, damn, that sounds awesome. I'm lucky. You know, like I feel lucky to be able to do stuff like that. To be truthful.
So for those listening, if you didn't scroll back in the comments, Matt Bobineau has a great story about the answer meeting a random guy at Mikkeller Bar in San Francisco that had some of their beers. So I have heard nothing but terrific things about the answer, and I someday will get there myself when things calm down.
We did 2 collabs with I did 2 collabs with them for the festival, and it was insane. I mean, their beers are insane. The people that own it, and Andy from Black Ninja, they're some of the coolest people I've ever met in the beer industry. Nothing but I could never say anything but good things about those people. They are amazing individuals.
That is awesome, man. What about you, Grant? What is next up that we can talk about for Urge, Mason, the Barrel Room, 3 other entities that you have hiding in your backseat? Grant's Chicken. What was the name of the taco thing that starts with a K?
No, it's an Apocalypse Taco.
Taco. I just heard the K. So anyways, what in your empire that's next can you tell us about?
So we do have something in the works with another brewery that we already do some work with that we'll announce hopefully in a couple of weeks. Brandon will hear about it. And that's all I can say about that.
Wow, talk about the tease.
Wow, that was coded.
It's pretty
Yeah,
rad.
right?
And when you're talking about Brandon, you mean SD Beer News?
What do you mean?
I mean,
San Diego Beer. got
San
news.
Diego Beer News. Mm-hmm.
Just the
God
same.
bless Grant.
and then, I mean, not to go depressing, but and then it's just about survival. In addition to that, it's just keep fighting the good fight. You know, we're happy we're able to start selling some keg beer again, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always got a couple irons in the fire. Not everything hits, but there's definitely some cool things in the works that if they happen will be great. We're probably the thing that hasn't 100% come together yet, but is like 99% come together yet that I'm most excited about is the one that I just teased.
Cool.
So
Well,
Right on.
we can't
Do
wait
you
to
know-
hear the fruition.
Do you know your addresses that people can go see you?
I do.
Don't
So
look down at your computer screen. I saw you glance down.
what are you talking
Chris,
about?
I got your addresses. Don't worry. I got them down. I got all your addresses down. I'll tell them in a second.
Hold on, I know what it is.
The Urge in Rancho Bernardo is at 16761 Bernardo Center Drive. The Barrel Room is at 16765 Bernardo Center Drive because they're right next door to each other. And then the Mega Urge / Mason Ale Works is at 255 Riddell Road, San Marcos, California, 92078.
Well done, sir. Well
That's
done.
amazing.
Mic drop.
I blame MapQuest for me not knowing the addresses because I take MapQuest to everything. You know, I don't know.
It's totally cool. So for the record,
Yeah.
Beer Zombies is located. Beer Zombies
Wait, which
draft
one?
room.
Yeah.
We're going to start with. I'm going to start at the bottom, work my way up. So one Beer Zombies draft room is located at 2010 Festival Plaza Drive in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
The other Beer Zombies draft room is located in inside Skinny Fats. That's the restaurant you mentioned earlier. 6261 Dean Martin Drive, Las Vegas. That's the one closer to the Strip, correct?
Yes.
Excellent.
And then I do know the one that's so I have one. The first one is 8680 West Warm Springs. I know that because it's like 4
You are
minutes from my
correct.
house. Yes.
Yes, good job. Good job.
Suite 170. I even know the suite on that one.
That was
Okay.
good. That's good. And then
Salt Lake City?
1
Salt
point.
Lake
1
City?
point.
We got Salt Lake City?
I
No?
no clue.
it's okay. In Salt Lake City, you're
Little farther from his house.
153 South Rio Grande Suite 107, and
Duh.
Salt Lake City
It's in
84101.
the Gateway. It's called the Gateway.
Yeah, it's in the Gateway, and it's actually really cool because it's kitty corner from the Utah Jazz Stadium. So the parking garage, you park and you take the escalators down, and our bar is in between the escalators. So I know where it's at. I just don't know the addresses.
I mean, you just have to be able to get there, man. That's all.
That's it. Get off the plane and take the Uber. That's it.
Yes,
There you go.
indeed. So that brings us to the San Diego Beer.news segment of the show. Mr.
Hey.
Hernandez, bigger news week this week in beer.
Yeah,
Break it down, buddy.
we got a big beer news week this week and next week. Man, I'll tell you what, it might even be bigger than this one. So starting things out, we have a new brewery alert. Got Craft Coast in Oceanside, former Peace Port Resi Ranch dude Mr. Blake Masoner, beloved by many people in North County, especially his Peace Corps brethren. He married two things that seemingly could never go together: beer, Mexican food.
No way. No way. No way.
Yeah, you know, nobody did it first, really. So I commend the guy because it's my two personal favorite things. And so basically, they have a bunch of great, you know, like slow cooked and authentically cooked proteins that go into either tacos, nachos, molitas. You know what I'm saying? Estella knows what I'm saying.
Can you say that slower for us? Oh, man. I like
so.
that.
And right now it's very early, but they have a Mexican style lager, blonde, and an IPA. So it's very simple. 275 Mission Avenue in Oceanside. Place was packed for its opening weekend, but it's right like 2 blocks from Oceanside Pier. It's gonna be a great place and something that everybody can enjoy, whether they're a tourist or a local. So very cool. Now for the second item, going back to Mr. Steve Wagner, who helped with that great, American style Gueuze that we had. He is not going to be interim CEO of Stone for much longer. By the time September 14th rolls around, they will have their new CEO in place. And they picked somebody who was CEO for 5 years at Lagunitas, and her name is Maria Stipp. And she's going to come in there and take over where somebody left off when they left last month, and basically be in charge of every facet from brewing to hospitality to distribution, the distribution of their beers. So a lot of things going on over there, but a really quick hire. It only took them about a month to find somebody to fill those shoes, and that's pretty good, pretty fast. And given that Lagunitas has a lot of similarities to Stone, when you look at beer styles, as well as kind of like I don't know if bombastic is the right word, but like just a very vocal, a very like in your face type of a brand that could be a really good fit for them. And then a third one, it's almost news that is not actually news, in that I'm talking about Booze Brothers Brewing. If you've ever been over to their headquarters, they also have a place in Oceanside, but if you go to their headquarters, it's this L-shaped series of suites that they've slowly taken over the entire building. And the way they were able to do that was that a lot of their revenue stream came in through private events. They made really beautiful event spaces where they could serve beer. And as soon as they got a license where they could serve wine as well, it made it very easy to have weddings and things like that, graduation parties, whatever it might be. And they had an outdoor area where they could have bands and things like that. So that became a very big component of their business, enough that they went and looked for a private event space that could just be for that. And they found one about 2 years ago and spent 2 years constructing it, renovating it into something that fit their brand, looked really good. They were about to debut it. It was going to be the site of the Guild's Rhythm and Brews press event. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So they've got this beautiful place ready to go. They had people ready to get married there, and they all had to pull out because of the pandemic. But this place is called the Vistonian. It's in Vista. It's close enough to the brewery and a lot of the places where people within the company live that they can be very closely associated with it and have hands-on, control over things that are happening. So it's ready, willing, but unable to open at this point. But when COVID's passed, that place is going to open up. It's going to be really nice. And if you look online, either at my site or you could look right over at Booze Brothers, you can see some great pictures of the place. It's really nice. And if you've ever been to a Booze Brothers event in one of their event spaces, they've done great things with reclaimed wood and just made it and greenery and made the place look really nice. So it's very unfortunate, but it's for sure going to be a good thing when it's there. 306 South Santa Fe in Vista. But that's the big news from this week. But seriously, next week there's going to be so much stuff, and starting tomorrow. So if you go to SanDiegoBeer.news, if you don't already subscribe to the newsletter and everything, please do. It'd be great. Go to the homepage, scroll to the bottom, do it. But man, there's a lot of stuff happening in San Diego Beer, even though you might not think so right now.
Or become a Patreon.
You can do that too. You can do that too. I would like that, but
it's so in contrast to our website, on Brandon's website, SanDiegoBeer.news, very bottom, if you want to be a patron, there's that nice little red become a patron button. So speaking of patrons, we couldn't possibly do our show without the support of currently 50 amazing individuals. And before we jump into the list and all that, a couple things to say. Number one, our second anniversary is coming up. Our second anniversary show will be September 17th. 2 weeks.
I'm a girl. Shut up, okay?
2 weeks from today.
I just haven't heard a girl squeal in a long time. It's my fault.
That's awesome.
Again, Brandon, that was me. Sorry, my bad.
Apparently, Brandon will take the squeals any way he can get them. But for us, we're very proud and super happy that we've made it 2 years. And so 2 weeks from now, 9/17, we're going to celebrate our second anniversary. It's actually really like the first week of September, but we had an amazing guest book for next week, which is Indie Brew Co. And the Indie on Indie action just could not be denied. We also will have Beer Thug Life, which is another person similar to Beer Zombies who kind of started out very meagerly and has built himself up to kind of where Beer Zombie was 5 years ago, where he's doing a lot of collaborations right now with other breweries and just another good craft beer person. But we are about to restart everything. So last year we had this wonderful intention of making exclusive content every week for the Mug Club, and our patrons latched onto it. Holy shit, Chuck Silva. Thank you. Congratulations. By the way, yes, that fucking Chuck Silva.
Wow.
Thank you for listening, sir. And we really appreciate the congrats. Then COVID happened, and we could never see each other again, and so therefore it was really difficult to make exclusive content. So, all Mug Club members from last year are going to get a physical thing. No, I don't know what it is. I'm still deciding. But in October, everything resets as far as our patron reward levels and what will be included. So we're not changing prices. I know a lot of people can't even afford to spend $6, $12, $25 a month sponsoring a fucking podcast. But for those of you that can, our rewards next year will be physical, meaning some type of merch more than exclusive content, because all of our energy goes into these live shows, and so we're going to make the rewards a different structure, a more traditional structure, at least for next year. And then hopefully COVID will blow over. We'll get vaccines. We'll all be able to meet up, have bottle shares again, throw parties, hug. Then we'll worry about exclusive content when the four of us can be in the same room again. And you know, for those of you that don't know, we take this 100% extremely serious. We even didn't do a show for the rest of March once the home stay-at-home orders happened, because we wanted to take our time to make sure that we really found the streaming entity or the platform that worked best for us, and that turned out to be StreamYard. And then all this happened, and it turned out to be incredibly rewarding to be able to do our show live with our fans and interact with you guys. And so if and when we ever get to go back, we might do some kind of weird hybrid of this, so video. I think moving forward will always be a component of the show, but we'll work all that out when we have the opportunity. So for now, for the people that are fucking amazing that have joined the pint level or above, Brandon raised his hand.
I just want to say one thing, because I know you're going to touch on something that's really, to me, awesome.
It is.
And I love what you said before, but today has been really rough. Yesterday was really rough for me. I just want to go back, and I'm sorry for everyone who's maybe like in a real positive place right now, and I am too, because of this show, which is amazing. But Larry Smith was someone very special to me, as he was to so many people. And compared to a lot of people who spent a lot of time with him, I will just go out there and say, like, compared to them, I barely knew him, man. But he was such a positive, amazing person. And, I think that there maybe besides you guys, there's few people who've touched me and made this really difficult time in life with this pandemic and being shut in and trying to accomplish a lot of things with a lot of obstacles. He just was able to infuse some positivity into my life that I really needed. And he made a huge difference to me. And to learn that, yes, to find out yesterday that people didn't know where he was, and then find out today that unfortunately he passed away. It was really tough, and I know that it hit a lot of people who listen to the show and a lot of people in general really hard. There's just few people like him in this world, in a world that, I'm not making a political statement. I don't prescribe to either side. I really don't. But we can't deny that it's a divisive place we live in right now, and that people are very strong in their opinions. But this guy didn't care about anything. Like, he just, if you met him in a place where you were drinking beer, he was your friend, and he was nice, and he was exactly what we needed. And, you know, like, it's so weird. There's this mechanism in me that never lets me cry about things that are so important. And today, like, learning about Larry, I just can't stop. And he was a lovely soul. And to know that, to see that so many people cared about him today was so important. And what you're going to say next, I'm so thrilled about, because his legacy needs to be celebrated. And I'm going to do that through what I do. I've got some plans. They're going to take some time, but what Garen's doing is a lovely way to just say, like, I'm just picking up something that he enjoyed, and I'm going to put that out there. But I love Larry Smith, and he was such a friend, and I'm going to miss him so much. And I just couldn't let today go by without saying so. So I'm sorry, but
No.
what a wonderful man.
There's nothing for you to be sorry about. Seriously. I can't agree more with everything that you're saying. He was just an amazing individual, and he was just so nice to everybody. And he was there for all of us, honestly. It didn't matter how long you knew him. He would take you in. And he was the biggest supporter of craft beer. And he was a huge supporter for us. And like somebody said, let's raise a glass to Larry, honestly, you know, and just cheers, because he was an amazing, amazing guy. And we're going to all miss him terribly. So.
Cheers to you, Larry.
Cheers to you, Larry. Rest in IPA, man. So what... Okay, gotta suck it up. Okay. Yeah. What Brandon's alluding to is our patron, one of our patrons, Garen Varner, who is a writer for Beer Alien, more than doubled his contribution to our patron fund in Larry's memory. He picked up all of Larry's contributions to the show, which is unfathomably amazing. That's amazing. So, Garen, please accept this incredible word of thanks from me personally and our entire show. Yeah. He went from the Mug Club level to the merch level, which is just an amazing leap, and a terrific honor for Larry. Larry was an incredible, generous man, and to the point that he had an unfulfilled T-shirt order that luckily I was able to cancel and refund him this morning, even though I'm not refunding him. But at least I was able to cancel that transaction and put the money back on his card so that no one else in his family has to worry about paying. I mean, we don't give a shit about a $30 T-shirt, but I was happy I was able to send it back. So thank you, Garen. You're the best. But if you want to join at the pint level or above, you get a shout out every week. You go to patreon.com/theindybeershow. And this week, those members are Ben, Bill, Brian Gould, Captain Eli, Casey, Dan Diegos, who's listening. I think Bill Benzel, I saw him earlier too, along with the other San Diego craft beer, Bill Snyder. Great listeners. Wow. Dante, Doug, Garen with Beer Alien. Man, you touched my heart today, buddy, by honoring Larry with your generosity. Thank you. I really appreciate it. George from the Home Brew Co. and the Home Brewer, Greg from Stone, The Indie Beer Show brand COVID-19 pandemic socially distancing Zorball. Thanks to Greg and Maggie for making me say that. Hoppy Craftsman. No, they pay me. I'm going to keep saying it. Hoppy Craftsman podcast. James, Jason Parr, Jess from Ale Tales, Joey from Hoppy Beer Gear, Juan, Judith, Kenneth. Oh man, that's Larry's spot. We love you, man. Liz from Hopbauer, Matt and Candace Bobineau, Matt from The Perfect Pour, Mr. Peacock from Tabcraft, Mike Sahagan, Nathaniel, Norman.
Mike's here. Hi.
Oh, hi, Mike. Thank you for joining us. OC Brew Girl, Pacific Beer Chat, Robert from 13 Point, who bought one of the last two masks, Rudy from Jolly Spaceship, Sergio Nigos, and Jagus.
Hey,
yo.
I get this.
We can't.
Congrats to George on his engagement. George got
Absolutely.
engaged.
George got engaged.
What?
And
Yeah.
he got engaged this weekend. So if you
That's
know George,
wonderful.
congrats to him.
Now, congrats to Lexi too on her promotion.
Ooh,
Oh,
what
yeah.
was Lexi's promotion at Duckfoot?
She
Oh
got,
yeah,
she
she went up.
She
Yeah.
got promoted
Up
to
'cause they
assistant
brought on-
brewer.
she got
They
promoted.
brought on
to
talent.
Assistant brewer. Well, congrats, Lexi. That's great news. That's right. We like to see friends of the show progressing in their career. We are not going to walk away sad. So first off, we got to
Yay.
knock out our number ones, and we're going to go clockwise this time, which means that Grant has to tell us his number one zombie movie of all time, sir.
All right, it's not even close.
Paranorman. Okay. All right. Never mind.
And I know I'm a dork, but Army of Darkness.
Yes. Okay, that's a good number one. That's a good number one, man. Non-stop action flick with buckets of blood. Buckets.
Absolutely. It's so ridiculous. It makes me crack up every time. I was a total chicken when I was a kid and could not handle horror. I remember that movie came out when I was in high school, and I was like, this is amazing. This is what horror films can be. And I was like, it was so much fun. Shop smart, shop S-smart.
Yes, that's awesome, man. That's really good. All right, Estella, what is your number one?
World War Z.
All right.
I really like that movie, and
It's probably because of Brad Pitt.
actually, so Liquor Store Mike told me I started the book, Estela. It's really, really scary. I couldn't even finish it, and I was like, no. I started the book. I couldn't even finish it because it was really scary. But obviously, the book is way better. It always is. But the movie's just so good, and they're really, really fast zombies. So those are really scary ones. Really, really scary ones. So.
Yes, they are scary.
So, yeah.
All right, Abel, number one.
All right, as you can see, it's in my name. But
Evil Dead, sir.
but just to one up it a little bit, it was actually Evil Dead the musical.
Go home. You're fired. You're fired.
I went to the Evil Dead the musical in Vegas, actually. So in Vegas,
Great.
I never been to it before. The lovely lady that I was with said to not sit in the front row unless you want to get dirty. So we did not sit in the front row. We sat in the back, but it was like the most funnest interaction kind of show to watch ever. And Evil Dead is awesome. The movie is awesome, period. But then to see the musical took it one step above. Like that was it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's great. Okay, we got to bring it around to the expert, Chris. For you,
So
number
for me,
one zombie movie ever.
This is just going off the fact of if it's on, no matter what, I watch it. 28 Days Later. That is my number one zombie movie. I think it's
Really fast zombies too.
really fast zombies. It redefined zombies for me. I think it was just kind of an overall. And I know it's not super indie cool, like more mainstream, but that's one of those movies. If it's on and I'm flipping through channels, I stop and I watch it every single time.
So we're very in tune. I'm going to cut out Brandon for a second, but that was my number one as well. And for me, the combination of it being an incredible fast zombie where just one drop of blood infects you, like that scene where it drops on the guy's eye.
In his eye.
But also
Don't
just
even have to bite you. God.
the overall commentary on what would happen in an apocalyptic world.
And
They
that's
just
the thing,
they just really brought that whole package together in a way that really affected me. And like you said, started another movie that started a whole other genre of super aggressive, super fast fucking zombies. And as Matt Bobineau points out, the fucking crows. Yes. All of it. It was great.
Fuck those zombies. Get the
exactly. All right, Mr. Hernandez, you're number one, sir.
All right. First off, fast zombies scare the bejesus out of me. So I've always wanted to see.
I think we need a shirt that says that, guy.
So I've always wanted to see Estella's number one, but I just never had the chance. And I have people in my family; they don't want to watch any of this kind of stuff. So I'm on my own. And my wife, she appreciates that I like these kinds of movies, but I can't watch them with her because obviously, like, she doesn't like them. But I also can't watch them while she's sleeping next to me. So I can't eat. But I remember waking up. We were on a trip. We went to Europe. We've only been the one time. We were in London. She was asleep. I was asleep. I woke up in the middle of the night, and 28 Days Later was on, and I'd never seen it before. So I woke up in the middle of this, and I'm like, this is intense. This is rad. So I haven't seen the whole movie. So I can't really say it's my number one, but I have a good feeling it would be. But what I do like, and it's not a movie, but will have a movie franchise, is The Walking Dead. I've seen every episode the night it comes on since it started to now. I've read all the compendiums. Like, I really enjoy that show, and I like the fact that in addition to like they've taken that comic, which is like me kind of lame, and they've made it so much better via that show. And I like the human element of it as well. Now, I will say certain seasons have been very slow, where the human element, you're almost like, okay, look, I don't know how you're dealing with love and weird things like that, because there should be more zombies. But I have the early seasons of that show. I really have enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing what they'll bring to the big screen when they eventually do a movie that takes off from that.
So, little known fact about The Walking Dead. I was in The Walking Dead Escape. I actually got my makeup done by the visual effects artists that work on The Walking Dead. So I looked disgusting and awesome that day. And maybe I'll post a picture so you guys can see it. But I had a bite mark here. I was like bitten here. Like it was amazing. And they carry all these like wounds in pizza boxes, guys. And then your hair gets all gross. The way that they make your hair, it's conditioner. They're like, just put conditioner in and don't touch it. And I'm like, can I wash it off? And they're like, nope. Just like that.
Just come.
Just like that. Go.
In my office, I have a signed picture from Teddy Bear Girl, which is the very first zombie ever in Walking Dead.
The little girl without the bit.
She was the very first zombie ever shown in The Walking Dead, and I met her at a Comic-Con because that's what I do.
That's freaking sweet. And another victim of COVID was Comic-Con this year. Did any of you watch any of the online panels from Comic-Con this year?
I did a little bit. I was not impressed.
I had the same reaction as Abel.
I think the DC one was way better. I think the DC Live was what Comic-Con should have been. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, guys. That's a completely different story.
It is.
That's a different episode. A whole different episode.
Yeah.
And especially not when we're already in OT and need to shut it down. So, Grant, what are the best social media channels to keep up with everything? Urge, Mason, the Barrel Room. How do we follow what you guys are doing?
So definitely the account we're most active with is Mason Ale Works. That's where everything new happening with the brewery ends up going through there, or Mason Ale Grant. Most stuff goes through Mason Ale Works, but sometimes I'll throw some secondary content on my own personal stuff. And then for Urge, we break it down by location. So Urge Gastropub for Rancho Bernardo, Urge Gastropub, Urge Common House for our San Marcos location, and then the Barrel Room San Diego for the Barrel Room. Most of the restaurant stuff is updating weekly specials, different promos we've got going on. If you really want to know about the beer and what's latest and greatest, Mason Ale Works is a place to see.
Great. And Chris, for Beer Zombies?
Little known fact, I'm the only person that does Beer Zombies social media because I don't trust anybody else. So
Nice.
yeah, so
Good job.
anytime people they'll hit me up on like Instagram, which I'm the most active on, they're like, oh, you know, Chris, it's always me. So Beer Zombies on Instagram and BZ Bottle Shop on Instagram, 100% ran by me. Every picture, every comment, every response is all me. So that's the best way to get a hold of me.
That's great, man. And unlike you, our social media could be any of the four of us, so you never know who you're going to get. But if you wanted to connect with us in social media or in regular media, you can reach us at cheers@indie.beer. That's an actual fucking website. Happens to be ours, indie.beer. A lot of people still don't understand that .beer is a fucking website. But anyways, indie.beer for us. Indie Beer Show in Twitter, at the Indie Beer Show in Insta and Facebook. If you want to break our streak of no voicemails other than the one that Brandon left me that I'm never going to play. Oh, well, maybe I will someday. But that's 619-798-6038. For everyone that joined us in our audience, we really appreciate it. For Chris from Beer Zombie, for Grant from Mason Ale Works, for Abel, Estella, Brandon, and myself. I hit that button a little early. Thank you and good night.
That was a little premature.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cutting us off here.
Just to make
happens. It's not a big
sure
deal.
we get it. Yes, just
It
to make
happens
sure
to
we get it
every
right.
guy.
Thank you for listening to the Indie Beer Show.